skip the truth, but don't skip the ad.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Welcome back to another episode of Don't Skip the Ad.
I'm Jenhan.
And I'm Jarrod. And we're from the Jarrod agency.
And this episode, my friends, is a very special episode. Special guests, special venue, special circumstances because it's our first live recording. And where was it at, Jarrod?
It was at Kanchil Festival.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much to
Kanchil Council for giving us a slot. Yeah, okay.
I'm so used to touching your foot, bro. The space.
Okay, yeah. We record this in a much smaller space than a gigantic stage with I don't want to hype ourselves too much, but I think it was like 25,000 people.
So our next guest, he's Malaysian. He's from Penang.
Yep.
He's rocking the house in Singapore. Our guest is Daniel Kee, the ECD of Mullenlow, Singapore.
It's our first live show, so please forgive us if there's any audio issues.
Yeah. So without further ado,
this is Daniel Kee, ECD of Mullenlow, Singapore on
Don't Skip the Ad.
Welcome home, Daniel.
Hey guys,
Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourselves, like where you're from?
I was born in Penang.
Born in Penang.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta cheer. Penang. Penang people make some noise.
You were in Penang your whole childhood?
Yeah, up until SPM.
Oh, okay.
And then after that, my parents were quite typical.
What do you mean by typical?
They were very good government servants, civil servants, and to them, I think successful career, I suppose, would be in engineering.
Right.
So they wanted me to become an engineer. The thing is, they didn't make a lot of money, right? So I spent my childhood growing up with very little. My dad was a clerk. So what I got from him actually was every time he's got this stack of forms, government forms, a lot of bureaucracy, but they only print on one side. And every time the forms are obsolete, he'll take home those stacks of papers. And on the other side, all I had was just blank paper. So I spent a lot of my childhood drawing.
What were you drawing? Were they like cartoons or like what? Just scribbles?
Engineering bridges, engineering structures.
I'm more concerned about what government document is behind there.
Oh, actually, I don't know. They look quite boring, very, very, very standard.
I had the same thing too. My mom worked in telecom and she brings back all this printed paper. And on one side it was, I don't know what it was, but the other side was blank and I could draw.
So you were drawing. What were you drawing?
I don't remember what I was drawing. There's a lot of rubbish. Mostly like how I want to live my life, and it mostly involved like multi-story space bus, and I'll put all the people I like on it,
Oh, nice.
and we just take off. I think I spent a lot of my childhood just having that, nothing else to do, not allowed to watch TV. My dad also did another thing that was really nice for me, I think. Each of us, I think, he got 4 library cards. So I think each card you could borrow 2 books. So every weekend, he'd go to the public library, get 8 books. So for that week, I had 8 books to read before the next Saturday.
How old were you?
I don't know, maybe 6, 7.
6. Then you had 8 books to read.
Yeah, I mean, we start simple, right?
Were your parents
Then it
very
gets a bit more
strict?
complicated.
Were they strict parents?
My mom was pretty strict. Actually, yeah, they were strict. I mean, kena rotan and all that, I mean, for sure.
And did you have siblings?
I had a brother.
Or
Yeah.
I was just curious, like, did this experience, like the 8 books, was it like 8 for you, 8 for brother, or like
Oh no, it was 8 for the both of us.
8 for the both? Okay. You both had kind of a similar upbringing. Is he in a similar industry right now?
No, he works with the church.
Oh, nice. See, so what happened? Where was the split?
Yeah, what happened to your brother, man? I mean, why is he in the church?
I don't know. I mean,
Is he older or younger?
he's younger, 2 years younger.
Okay.
So the thing is engineering, right?
Yeah.
And in the end, I said, hey, look, maybe not engineering because I discovered something called the computer.
Okay.
It was in my school library.
Okay.
And you could play games on it, but I made excuses like, why do I need a computer? I mean, look, I'm going to do some programming and all that. I want to learn all that.
You told them that lah.
Yeah. So eventually, I mean, I felt really bad because when I look back, when my dad bought the first system, I think it was about 5,000 ringgit. It was like maybe 3 months' salary. And I insisted I needed a color printer because I wanted to do some graphics and print it out. It was another 1,500. That was 1 month's salary.
Yep.
So it's like 4 months of salary just into something that I eventually used to play Street Fighter and stuff. So I told him, okay, you know what, compromise, computer science, that's kind of engineering. And there was a point, I think, when I was in primary school and we didn't have access to computing software. So I was reading programming books and writing code.
Wow.
Also on paper, but I have no idea if they work.
Can you trace the source of like this interest, or like were you just naturally like a curious child then?
It was a real struggle. So I did eventually become an IT guy. I did eventually get a degree in computer science. I gave it a good go for about 6 years maybe.
Okay,
And,
so 6 years in IT.
Yeah.
What happened at the end of the 6th year?
Actually maybe the 3rd year or 4th year.
Yeah.
I was renting a place in BU, just renting a room. I came down one morning to watch Champions League. My housemate joined me. There's this guy with long hair, really cool. He just bought a new pickup truck. So when we were watching this, I think it was halftime, it was Manchester United against, I can't remember, either Real or Barcelona. Halftime, suddenly one telecom ad came up.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, that's mine, I did it. And I just went, that looks easy. Then I was like, so what do you do? And he said, I'm an senior art director. And I said, wow, new truck, huh? And he said, yeah, my girlfriend is in events. So, sometimes she needs help to move things around. So I bought a truck. I said, why are you renting this room here? You see over there, Rihanna Green, the penthouse. I think I'm renovating it.
Oh.
I'm like, my God, advertising, it looks easy, you look rich.
So many looks rich. So many people's career in advertising actually start that way. It's like, it looks easy.
What was the ad about? Could you remember? What happened in the
I
ad?
couldn't, that's why I thought it looked easy.
Right.
Sorry, Daniel.
Okay, so what happened then? Like you say it looks easy, so you thought maybe I'll try.
So I thought maybe this is something I should be trying. Like this computing thing, I don't feel like I'm going anywhere. I'm not a genius. I'm not going to break any new ground soon. But this looks easy and fun and seems to pay. My original, back then before I had an ambition, roughly in my head, without knowing anything, because there's no internet, no exposure, right? I thought one day I'll be an artist or a writer or something. My dad was like, to him a writer meant journalist, which meant basically a war reporter, and you're going to get shot and die. Artist means obviously painting mugs on the sidewalk. So either way, it's like no. And that's how I became like a computer science guy. But this was my way back in. It looked interesting. It looked like there's a career. I'd never heard of advertising. Never even thought of it. So I ran up to my computer after the match, the football match.
Yeah.
I don't remember who won. And I typed this README file and left it on the desktop. This is Windows 95, I think. And it said, I think there's this one entry, like join advertising by end of the year.
So what year was this?
I don't remember, but it was maybe 3 or 4 years later when I joined advertising.
And you were how old at that time?
When I finally joined, I was like 25 already, 26, maybe a bit late.
Mid-20s?
So maybe 22 when I realized all this.
Let's paint the picture. You are in your mid-20s, having done computer science for a number of years. Thought to read 8 books a week when you were a child.
No, honestly, I felt bad. Sometimes I read 6. Then my brother would finish 8 and go like,
6 is pretty good.
there's this Frederick Forsyth book, I think The Jackal. I never read it until today and I still remember it because my brother read through it. I couldn't make it through past the first 3 pages on the boring.
Okay,
I've always felt like he's superior because of that.
So that Daniel, who cheated at book reading and went through this life.
That's why the brothers in church. It is in advertising.
Yeah, so basically you now finally in your mid-20s, having gone through this life from Penang all the way here, you enter the industry based on the singular thought. You saw the ad and it was easy. Was it easy in the start for you?
Man, no, it wasn't, but it was brilliant.
How do you get into how do you get into the industry?
Into the industry.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether it's divine intervention, good luck, a tinge of nepotism. I was seeing a girl and I realized at some point that, oh my God, your entire family is in advertising.
Oh,
her father created like an ad that stays with me until today. Is this ad for KFC? I don't know if you guys know it. It's from my childhood. I can't sing. I don't want to attempt it. Okay, there's a song.
Let's go to the zoo. There's nothing
Lots of
else
things
to
to
do. Is that it?
Lots of things to do.
There's lots of things to do. Is that the one?
Yes. And the food is finger licking good, right?
Yeah, I think so. I have a memory of that.
Her father worked on that.
As a film director or art director?
I think as an art director working at Wings. And then her uncle turned out to be Elmo Lee, and another uncle turned out to be Kinsley. And people who gave Yasmin Ahmad a start.
Yeah. So somebody with a
I
surname
didn't even
Lee
know, this is your family. Like,
So her family was like advertising pedigree.
yes,
of Malaysia.
her granddad owned his agency. All her aunts, uncles, like in-laws, they had BTL agencies, things like that. So I said, hey, how do I get in? And then one of her aunts was a suit. I think she just gave me an email address. That's as far as the nepotism. When I got an email address, I had to do everything else myself. And
Oh,
it
that means
said,
internet was around at that time already.
just started, I think.
Yeah.
And it just said Helen Lee at jwt.com. I wrote in, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, so I just wrote a long cover letter, hoping to translate my passion and interest. And somehow, this is where it's probably divine intervention, I don't know. They called me back and they said, hey, so we are looking for, someone, I hear you're interested. Like, when can we see you? I'm like, I was like, at my IT job at my desk. I was like, I don't know, 2 weeks, I don't know, whenever. It's like, can you come like in tomorrow? I was like, tomorrow? And he said, yeah, bring a book. A book?
What book? Which book? Which book?
8 books. Which 8 books? One of the many books you read in your childhood, one of them.
So I mean, what the hell's a book?
Yeah.
And Mujur, I've got like some friends. I was working at Filio Damansara. I think there was an agency called Arachnid.
Yeah.
The next block.
A part of
And-
Leo Burnett.
Yeah. And we met over the internet a long time ago when we were bloggers. And, she's in advertising too. So I said, hey, Sue, like, what's a book? And she said, a portfolio. I was like, how am I going to scramble something like this together? She described it to me. She even gave me sample ads. This is what an ad looks like and stuff like that. What I had written some articles for newspapers because on the side, I still wanted to be a writer. I had a blog. I had some speculative stuff that I was just fooling around with. I had done some illustrations for other people, some CD cover for another ex-girlfriend. And I just pulled it all together. Like overnight, just kept printing using the company resource.
Yeah.
Next morning, went to look for a binder, like a clear binder, and
Yep.
stuffed everything in and turned up not knowing what I was walking into.
So what was the feedback to your book?
No, they just and then said, do you know what we do here? And then obviously I'm like, yeah, that halftime ad that I saw,
Yeah.
advertising all around us, is so simple.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. I said, yes, I think so. And then she said, over here, Hasna was the group head who interviewed me at JWT. And she said, over here, we try to do this. And she just brought out this DNADNO. I think it's the one with the Brussels cover,
Yeah.
yellow one. And said, have a look at this. And I opened it, and the ads were all about this big. But every single one of them was brilliant. Every single one of them was mind-blowing. I just felt so freaking excited. It's like everything's like, oh my God. Like, look at that. That's so funny. That's so witty. That's so sharp. And that's when I realized, like, okay, this is it. Like, there's no turning back now. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get in here. And what it took was, I think, 3 rounds of copy tests.
Back and forth with
Yeah, back and
JWT,
forth. Yeah, they gave me briefs. I had to work on 5 cents SMS.
That's really nice of them to actually
3 rounds, like 3 chances.
and
To get it right.
Yeah, with feedback and all that.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful to that bunch.
Did you take back the DNAD book for reference, or did you?
Yes. She Hasna passed it to me and said, take it home and have a look.
Yep.
And
they did take a chance on you and look where you are now, right?
Yeah,
making really a lot of unskippable stuff.
Yeah, so wow, that's just an incredible story because they must have seen something to allow you to take that book back and go try.
I don't know, maybe I lied or something. I don't know. Maybe I gave them the wrong impression because at some point when I went to the office and they introduced me to Edwin Leong, he went, the journalist. I'm like, no, I'm not. I wrote 2 articles.
Okay, so you are now in JWT and you would spend a number of years there. I have this question. You would have done many pieces of work in your the first formative years, right? Do you remember the first piece of work that you did that made you feel like, yes,
I know what I'm doing.
I know what I'm doing?
I'm not going back to IT.
Yeah. Like
It
first love.
wasn't
you know,
really, I know what I'm doing, but
Yeah.
hey, I think I've made it.
Yes. What's that?
It was terrible. It was this full-page rap for a newspaper for Shell. I can't even remember the idea anymore, but we had to say something. And I was writing mock headlines and mock articles and stuff like that for the front page. But I was selling something else, I can't remember, for Shell. And that was something I could finally call home and say, hey, Dad, do you see today's paper? You see that front page, that whole front and back page? That was me.
Wow.
So it felt like I achieved something.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah. I mean, just the
That
title
is
of
a-
your ad.
Well, but that is an achievement though.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
your ad, yeah.
What was nice is to prove to the parents like, hey, I can do this lah. Right?
yes, because my dad was really sweet. I mean, like, while I was still in PJKL trying to figure my life out, he kept going, come back to Penang, and every other week in the mail I received an envelope full of clippings, factory work. Like, come and work in a factory in Penang, Bayan Lepas, AMD, Intel, you know what, Dell. I'm like, Dad, I don't know why, that's not for me. And eventually it transitioned to, I think if I turned up, I ended up in 1 or 2 articles here and there. He'll cut those articles and send them to me. Hey, I saw you in the papers.
Yeah.
Nice. That's nice.
It's very sweet of him.
Which was the ad that made them go, okay, he knows what he's doing?
Actually, that's the thing. I don't think...
It just happened over time?
No, I don't think they ever got it.
Until now?
Yeah. Every now and then I'll tell him, hey, look, I did this. Hey, watch out for that on TV. If the story is simple, it's pretty basic. They go, oh yeah, that's okay, cool.
So, look, we have to talk about the unskippable ads now.
Right.
Yeah, and I know Ed and Jarrod, they have lots of questions.
You have so many unskippable stuff. Can we start talking about AI love? For the sake of our listeners, why don't you kind of tell them what the idea is about and what the whole campaign was all about?
Right. One of our biggest clients and our best clients actually is probably Unilever. And under Unilever, we work with a lot of brands. Clear Shampoo, Dirt is Good, that's Breeze and all that. Knorr, the Cube. Closeup is one of those brands. And it's interesting because I don't think Closeup exists in Malaysia or Singapore. And that's what's interesting about working in Singapore. You touch a lot of things you don't even see. So sometimes you have to imagine what that brand feels like to people you've never met. Every brand in Unilever at some point, I think Dove set the stage for it. Dove set a good example, right? Like True Beauty.
Yep.
So every brand at some point needed a purpose. If you had no longer, if you couldn't find a purpose for the brand, it will be jettisoned from the portfolio. There are many ways to sell toothpaste, right? Fresh breath, a nicer smile. Where does that lead to? I think you could stop at attractiveness and getting to know each other, bringing people together. But then I think they went one step further. What does that mean? Let's start questioning love and all that. Like, there are lots of boundaries in the world, I think, keeping people apart.
Yeah.
But Closeup wants to stand for the freedom to love, because when you're feeling fresh, you're feeling confident, you can meet anyone, you can do anything. I think nothing holds you back from getting close to each other.
Yeah. Was this established when you got the brief already?
Yes,
Freedom
we've
to
been
love?
running, first of all, I think usually it's communications to tell people that. And then I think there was at least a year of a lot of content. So we went around the region. I think we were telling stories about couples lots of things. LGBTQ is an issue, religion is an issue, politics is an issue. I think even traditions, right?
Yep,
Sometimes race is an issue. So
How long did it take you to come up with like the embryo of like the idea?
for this AI Love?
Yeah.
Because I think after a while, we're like, okay, we've told the stories. We have met the people, put faces, to these stories. And at some point, like, is it time now to kind of, like, make people feel something a bit more? And it just felt like the right step. I think, I mean, sometimes we stumble upon ideas as well. I said earlier that this idea came about because we had a Turkish art director, Yusuf, and he had this great idea for a kissing practice robot with a mouth and a tongue
Yeah.
that anybody could practice kissing on. Just quite revolting.
So the best way to make people feel something is to have two robots talking to each other.
Oh, we thought, look, like it evolved into a point where, you know what, robots is an interesting idea. Robots have no feeling.
Yeah.
But what if we could somehow make, two of them come together, fall in love, or agree on certain things, certain terms?
Yeah.
Did the two robots know that they were robots? I mean, they were talking to another robot.
I don't know. I mean, they live in their own world. They were
Much like
created
advertising people.
to interface with each other. I think the way ChatGPT does now, it's like we didn't have the benefit of that, so we really had to train the bots, give them separate personalities.
I was listening to your keynote earlier today, and you said it took like 6 months to train.
6 months, 251 interns or something. I don't remember.
You guys all did it in-house or with a uni? Or?
So we had the blessing of having this creative director, Sergey, who's Russian, working with us at the time, and he also
part-time agency guy, full-time hacker lah.
probably yeah.
can't run away from these IT people.
Can't say all these things. I mean, he probably has access to all my bank
Everything
accounts.
like access to your whole life, bro.
Yeah, but Sergey is a wonderful guy. I mean, he's just full of ideas, and the best thing about him is he is both art and technology, combined.
Yep.
He can program too.
Nice.
Yeah,
Such a difficult balance to find sometimes.
yeah. He's one of those unique guys. So we're forever indebted to him for some of the ideas we have because they cannot be pulled off without a guy who understands both worlds, who lives in both worlds.
So Sergey then
He worked. I mean, he had all these Russian contacts, and they're all technologically pretty good.
yeah.
And we developed these two bots.
Yeah, it must be like so painstaking, like over so many, more than half a year with that many people involved.
Yeah, whenever we had free time, I mean, I was there trying to train the bots too.
At any point, did you all go like, I don't think this is working, maybe we should just pull a plug?
Actually, no. I think we tried first to get Siri and Alexa to talk to each other, and at some point, it was technically a bit unfeasible. That's when we pulled the plug, and then this is actually a compromise. We're settling for something less.
Okay. I have a question. Like you mentioned that, like Closeup is not in Malaysia or Singapore, right? Do you think that actually is an advantage that you have to learn a brand that you are not familiar with?
I mean, in one sense, we do not carry a baggage, right? But I don't know. I think it's fine.
I think the AI stuff was really cool. You guys were coding stuff way before ChatGPT and all of that started. I'm sure you guys went through so much of pain, and as a creative leader, how do you know where to steer the thing, or was it difficult, like in that project, right? Like, oh, it's going this way, it's going that. Was there any, or was it was very clear how you were saying it was a compromise? It was very clear. Okay, this is the end goal. You know what I mean? How did you know?
I think the end goal was to make sure two digital entities
Yep.
who you wouldn't expect to develop feelings to do it exactly that. So it didn't really matter, I guess, how we got to it.
Okay.
So I think the North Star was there. So this project was pretty easy to navigate.
So the North Star was pretty clear.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Were the clients involved every step of the way? Or like, did you finish everything and go like, ta-da?
No, I think we sold them the idea first.
Yeah?
Then he had to test water, and then they're like, Then we start developing it.
Cool.
We asked for a budget because you don't want to work for free, right?
Yeah.
Try not to.
This took place live, right? At a
Yes.
Yeah.
We ran it live.
Yes.
It was a bit nerve-wracking because we really did not know where it'll end.
I remember when I saw this campaign, I saw the first film, I'm like, hey, Singapore, where got so sexy one? How come Singaporeans doing nice ads lah? Let's talk about, it's not crazy, it's the Navy. Maybe for our listeners again, why don't you explain what the whole campaign was about?
Right. So this started as a pitch. And I think the Singapore Navy account was handled by one guy for the past, 20 years or something. And wherever he went, any agency he went to, the account would follow because he was that good. So it was one of those cases where, man, we're never going to win this.
Yeah.
Coming from that, I mean, you're already on the back foot. You have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
What can you do that's interesting? And the Navy brand is special to us because even from Malaysia, right? Back then, you're looking across. Who has touched it? Dave Droga has touched the Navy.
It was with Saatchi for 28 years.
Yeah.
And then it moved to YNR. And then I think it moved to Mullen
Right. Like, so lots of legends have touched it. It's won so many awards. But I think maybe for the past decade or so, it started, past few years.
Oh, you mean when it was handled by YNR, lah, when I was there? Lah.
No.
I mean, nothing personal.
That one was still pretty good, no? So we were feeling that, hey, I think it's kind of lost its age a bit.
Yep.
Let's bring some bite back to it.
Yeah.
Look, it started with a brief.
Okay.
The brief Major Eileen gave to everyone was, we need to appeal to this target audience, Gen Z.
Yeah.
Nobody understands them. And in this day and age, with all of these occupational choices, like, why would anyone join, a military?
The Navy.
Basically,
Yeah.
yeah. And we don't want to get people to come in for the wrong reasons because they run campaigns where it says, join the Navy, see the world.
It's basically a recruitment campaign that the brief never changes.
Yeah, and people will go like, oh man, I come here and then I end up in a port in Hawaii. Cool.
Yeah.
But after 6 weeks, I didn't know I had to do all of these other things.
Yeah.
Not so cool.
Yeah.
And then they drop out.
Yeah.
So it didn't make sense to entice people with a lie or with a really rosy picture.
Yep.
And research told us that Gen Z are a very tough bunch, right? If you believe in a cause, you will go for it.
Oh yeah, they
you
will
will
finish.
suffer for it.
They will finish all 8 books, not like you.
So yeah, Gen X. So we thought, look, then let's go for it. Let's hit them in the face with it. Let's tell them exactly how nuts it is, to join us. This is how tough it's going to be, and just ask if you're up for the challenge. And that's how it went. I think. I mean, the thing is, if you told your parents today, "Hey, Dad, I'm going to join the Navy," in Hokkien, it's like, "Hey, siao,
Yeah.
right? You're crazy."
I really like the work. I mean, what you said in the ad is very obvious. It's crazy to wake up in the morning. It's crazy to go diving. It's crazy to train for a war you're never going to fight.
Yep.
The idea is staring at us in the place. We just didn't exploit it.
Right. And then we just needed to give it a reason, right? At the end of the day, why is all this craziness worth your time, worth the while?
Yeah.
How long did that process, the research and like all this thinking take you to achieve?
Honestly, I think it actually came quite easily. Yeah, I think the planner said something, you kind of latched onto it. You're like, it's a tough life. It's a bit crazy to do something like that. Then boom,
Right.
it just started coming out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Everything that is in the film was actually meant just as a manifesto to sell the idea to the client. It was never meant for something outward facing. But I think they liked it so much. It became,
And you were the writer who's never gone for NS and now writing for the Navy.
yeah, very, very awkward.
Sounds
Especially
about right.
when it came time to, go for the shoot, and all of a sudden they realized, you're Malaysian.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to let you on board the ship? A lot of clearance.
I'm starting to see like a common thread with like the great Unskippable Ads. It's like you have some may say like, you are not directly there, so you don't have the experience. But sometimes I feel it's a privilege to be able to stand from afar and inspect the problem as a whole, because you get to see that like it's true with Closeup, it's true with this.
Yeah.
Maybe that is like his, like
Always an outsider, a Penang boy looking at stuff. Is it? Is that your secret
but I think
sauce?
that is part of the creative process, right?
Yeah.
You got to start looking at it and forcing yourself to see it a different way.
When you're within the bubble, you can't see it. You have to step out of the bubble, I think
sometimes we're all guilty of that. We're in a bubble, right? So what are some of do you have a practice for yourself or like your team to try to get yourself thinking wider, thinking bigger? How do you see things from outside? Is there something that you do?
No, I don't think there's anything that's formalized like that.
Okay, got it. So genius. The answer is genius.
That's a genius.
Genius.
I mean, most of the time,
Or divine intervention.
I think your brother's
He's praying hard for you, bro.
He's praying.
no, I think you just hire the right people, and then they'll do all the work for you, and then they make you look smart.
we just have to take all the credit, yeah.
Let's talk about another favorite piece of mine, PRISM Plus. I thought it was so hilarious.
I don't know. I mean, the idea is pretty simple. If a TV so realistic, a display so realistic, it'll draw you in and transport you into the scene. But we just ran away with that scene, and you find the right people to work with. In this case, we found Kun An, director at Factory 01 in Bangkok, and basically, I think it just took on a life of its own. When we started the project, it was pre-pandemic. And the project was this. It was a completely different idea. I mean, the idea was the same, but it's a completely different script, completely different execution. It started with a bald guy. Sorry.
I don't see any.
Daniel just gestured to Ed and go sorry.
I didn't want to. No, I wasn't.
Don't worry.
a generic bald guy.
I'm quite sure Ed knows.
It did occur to me once in a while.
Being put through a lot of abuse because he was basically the basketball in a basketball match. So you have people kind of like bouncing the ball, and you have someone who looks like Ed,
Yeah.
kind of like being abused.
Okay.
If I want to do a slam dunk or like Sometimes it just goes under someone else's legs or something. And Ed's face is just like going through basically all the motions.
Yeah, yeah. So imagine my head as a basketball.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So that was the script that didn't produce, right?
We didn't because the director said, to do something like this, we don't want to do this normally. I mean, we worked with Kunan because he takes things to another level.
Yeah.
And he's very particular. It's very, very, sure of what he wants to try next. And he doesn't want to repeat anything that's been done before.
I see.
And say, in order to do this, I need this kind of camera. We need to really push this because even that execution isn't completely new, right? Seeing it from your point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time casting for the right guy.
Yeah, I
Just had
think
all the right expression.
that is a very important part of videos actually, like the casting process.
Yeah.
But these days, like with the speed of how fast clients want videos being churned out, like it is just a shame that we don't spend as much time.
We don't spend time looking into the minute details
Yeah.
and dwelling, is that the right person for that script, you know?
Yeah, all three of the stories, like every single character,
Yeah.
like we really, really thought about the casting.
Did you always have the luxury of time, or did you have to negotiate with client and all that?
There was a bit of negotiation. I think there was a bit of discomfort here and there because we were developing scripts on the fly. I told you about the original basketball thing. It's going to cost too much. But for that amount of money, we could do 3 ads.
Yeah.
If we thought about the scenes carefully. And I think all the teams, we just opened it up to everyone.
Yeah.
Anybody had any other ideas? Let's just start just put them on the table. And
What
then
I'm
we
getting-
discussed it with the director, and we finally co-created, I think, the final 3 that we saw before you.
So what I'm getting from Daniel a lot is hiring the right people, working with the right talent
Yeah.
to get really where you are and doing
Yep.
unskippable stuff.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, it feels like every part of every step of the way, there's someone to build it with you.
Yep.
Someone to build. I think
Yep.
that's very important.
No, when we started off like as a junior,
Yep.
you need to prove yourself. So a lot of these things have to come from yourself.
Yep.
And you feel very insecure if, okay, this ad won an award, but you had a minor role to play and it disturbs you. Like, do you put it in your portfolio or not? Some would shamelessly do it. But me, I gave it a thought before I put it in anyway. But you want it to truly be yours. It's like, I try not to show things that, I didn't feel I contributed enough to, or it didn't come from myself.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, I think you start hiring young people. They too need to do that.
Yep.
And you also want to take it a bit easier, right? You want to see the bigger picture. It's about how do I assemble this team? What is the philosophy behind the things that we do? And
So today, are you? Would you say you are still very hands-on, or do you prefer to sit back and watch, and contribute from afar?
sometimes when you're briefed together,
Yeah.
you already have an idea.
Yeah.
And when you do have that, you just shut up and wait and see if somebody arrives at that or if they come up with something better. And
I need to learn this lah.
we just let it run.
I need to learn to shut up lah.
I just wondered, when you started your career, just going back, did you have a mentor of sorts who helped guide you along the way?
I think, yeah. I mean, everybody was a mentor. I thought Edwin Leong was incredible because he was the one guy. I mean, he was my first experience, so I had no reference point. But what I learned from him was, I mean, he didn't refer to ads. I think that when you talk to a lot of people, they go, oh, did you see this ad? Did you see that ad? Edwin was talking about ads. He was talking about architecture, this architect, that architect, this building, that building. He was talking about artists, like all the way from, modern art to basically the great masters.
Yeah, you have to find the life
Yes.
outside just the
Yeah,
books.
he was talking about business processes or business models. He was talking about Android before, when it was just a whisper. It wasn't anything. It wasn't used in any phone yet.
Yeah.
I think Edwin Leong is a legend. Do people ever say you look and dress and talk like him?
I doubt it. I mean, he's really eloquent. And he's tall.
Yeah. Apart from the height, no, nobody ever said that.
It's just that to add, everyone with hair looks the same.
Now, to add everyone with hair is beautiful.
Yeah. Anyways, you are such a busy man, and we really, really are very honored to have you here.
Yeah.
Everything we talked about in this podcast, we will definitely put up a link on our Instagram so that people can watch this very, very beautiful Unskippable Ads. But earlier you mentioned that sometimes there is discomfort, right? Like when there's disagreement or discomfort. Now this is a fun question we like to ask. Actually, Jarrod, this is a Jarrod question. Like, he likes listening to these things.
What's your worst experience or pet peeve about the industry?
A pet peeve.
Or the worst experience you ever had?
But generally, I think a peeve is maybe we sell ourselves short, and we're always like demeaning ourselves by being willing to lower the price, being willing to give somebody something cheaper, and then it becomes a race to the bottom, right? If every agency is doing that, we're not selling things that set ourselves apart. You know, you're starting to go, AI is in. We can also do AI.
Yeah.
You know, we'll produce all these things faster, quicker, and whatever. But look, any agency with the same technology is going to be able to give you the same thing. What sets you apart? I think we keep forgetting why we are doing this, and we allow ourselves, you know, to just do faster, cheaper, quicker.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think this is an effort that the entire industry has to be behind. I guess it's the same as kind of like a similar situation is like in America, the writer's strike, right? It's like, yes, they not all are affected, but if we start to, you know, if we start to not care, eventually it will just not help the situation. Yeah. So that's a very good pet peeve.
Yeah, that's a very, very good pet peeve.
And I think we should start charging in Singapore dollars.
I agree lah.
I mean, yeah, it's how you value yourself, right?
Yeah.
We stop valuing ourselves. Why would anyone value us?
Okay, so we have one final question before we let you go. If you could have a dinner, now this is a typical question, okay? If you could have dinner with anyone, whether they are from the industry or not from the industry, who would it be with and why?
This is really scary because I'm an introvert. I don't do dinners and, you know, meeting people and all that. I'm just really awkward.
Yeah.
But if there was no pressure, I wouldn't mind having dinner with Obama. He's got a really great voice.
Yeah.
I think he's got this soothing way of talking, very inspirational, very calm, beautiful voice. I could listen to him all night.
Very interesting cadence as well.
Yes.
What would you be talking about with him?
I don't know. I'll just be listening.
Just be listening to him talk.
I think that's a cool answer.
But honestly, if I could, I mean, I wish I could have dinner with my dad. He's passed.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I don't think, I mean, this is when I tell him, hey, I think maybe I sort of made it, at least, you know, for 45 minutes.
Yeah, and well, thank you so much, Daniel.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And also, before we go, like since we have about, I think, it's grown. It's about 100,000 people here now.
120,000 now?
Can we just give our guest Daniel a big cheer? Yeah.
Don't skip the ad.
Yay! Our first live show!
80,000 people, guys. 80,000, not 35.
The
80,000.
numbers just keep growing. So Jarrod, after the recording, like you look very lost and you came to me. What was the issue?
Oh man, okay, I'll be really, really honest. Since it was our first time recording live,
Yeah.
clearly I've not been on stage lah. So that feedback, I couldn't hear what anybody was talking. So I was 3-second delay lah.
I think, okay, so it was genuinely, I mean, like the audience number aside, it was genuinely a big space.
Yeah.
And there were no monitors that was facing us. So I think what Jarrod was saying is that when he spoke, he heard his voice back like 5 milliseconds later, like, who's that?
yeah.
It's like suddenly you hear your inside voice.
Yeah.
But we hope it didn't interrupt you too much. Personally, I had a good time.
I had a good time. Really good golden nuggets, good stuff to take out from that episode.
So once again, we just want to say thank you so much to the Kanchil Awards, to the council, for not only giving us the space, the opportunity, and the guests, but also if you watch our videos, we have a set. Now we're in the studio, we only have mugs and a bunting.
The mugs do not have water, it's just props.
By the Kanchil stage, we had a set.
Yes.
It was very exciting. You know, we will come back to the studio for the next few episodes, but see you in the next episode. And this has been
Don't skip the ad.